GM. So, going to look at a cash today on trade of the day. First of all, in the context of AI in general. So, render, nice move, broke all time high. Fetch, big move up, well above all time high. Both of those look closer to slowing down than accelerating. Bit tensor looks set to continue. And then you look at Nvidia in the stock market, closing at the highs again with yet a new all time high, gapping up overnight and is heading towards 1,000. And with the Nvidia conference coming up and with all that, seems to be plenty of positive flows or positive sentiment, and just we're in this craziness phase, right? Where prices are just going to accelerate. I think any of these dips on the cash are probably going to get bought up. Said yesterday, would I buy here? Like, no, because you've had ample opportunity to buy at lower prices. There's been many dips into the bands, into the 50, into the bands again, consolidations, breakout, retest. It's obviously just not a good idea on a lower time frame perspective to buy right here because it's now in this acceleration phase. That doesn't mean it can't go higher, because quite often these are the most aggressive phases where price could just go and it could double, or it could hit all-time high, or it could push a little bit more, or it could find resistance here. Right, this is a previous resistance from 2021. Maybe it stops here and pulls back. Who knows? It's just from a risk reward perspective. The odds are not in your favor to keep buying it up and up and up here. Coinbase listings coming. Is that going to lead to a sell the news or a exit liquidity for some of the early investors? Possibly. There's always going to be some selling whenever there's a new wave of buyers that open. Don't think it's not on Coinbase yet. Haven't heard or haven't seen anything to say otherwise. Coinbase. Sorry, let's see it here. AKT USD. Yeah, not on yet. It'll get there though. And for me, I wouldn't sell anything here. The higher it goes, the higher it's going to go, right? The more it moves up and the more strength it shows like this, the more it tells me that all-time high is just a matter of time. But that doesn't mean, and the same reason I'm saying that you don't necessarily have to want to like buy now, because that doesn't mean that it can't do exactly like this. Like the path I drew a few days back, or actually a couple of weeks ago, right? Up to here, could come all the way back. Maybe it doesn't, right? Not saying it goes all the way back, but that would be like the weekly support if it did. Even if that happened, I wouldn't have even the slightest bit of concern, because the move it's shown so far tells me that either it blasts off right now or it pulls back. Maybe it's overbought on the low time frames and then goes higher later on. But to me, it's just getting itself started, and higher prices in the end up are inevitable here. I think we get much higher on AKT before we see before we see the actual top. Is this the actual top? No. The Coinbase listing is needed. The Binance listing is needed. These things are needed to open up a new pool of liquidity, allow bigger players to fill bigger positions. And when they get filled, then they're going to shill it. You don't know who's going to be buying this. Big players, big crypto funds, big institutions. They want to get exposure to AI and crypto. They're going to be buying this. This is like the most legit project. Render's legit as well. Fetch is mostly a grift from what I can see. BitTensor, maybe it's good, maybe it's not. There's not a whole lot of true quality that's actually been around for years that's available. This is one of them. So I absolutely think that the big players are going to be buying this up. But they will need a correction. There will be at some point a big pullback in AI where people say, "Oh, that was it. It's over. It's done." And usually that has to be a scary dip, right? It has to be like a 50% correction. But the question is, does that come from here or come from higher, right? It could go to 12 and pull back to 6 or 5. That would be a brutal, scary correction. That would have everyone saying, especially if it just goes like crazy high and all the way back down, that's when people would say it's over. When in fact, that would be when the smart money just buys it. So you have to just sit back, watch it, enjoy the show, and see where it goes. If you want to buy a cash, I mean, I've got these questions all the time. If you were going to buy it, there were plenty of opportunities. I know it's difficult to buy stuff on the way up, but that's the nature of a bull market. You're supposed to buy on the way up, not not like here necessarily, but you're supposed to find projects that are trending up, that are stronger than the market. Talked about this on daily levels, or sorry, on the live stream yesterday. If there was a coin that was around in 2021, you want to see it being stronger than the market. This is stronger than the market. It's stronger than Bitcoin. It's been outperforming Bitcoin since last year. So has Solana, Injective. They're the older cycle coins that clearly have value. Render, Fetch. They're the previous cycle coins that are getting a bid, that are showing that the market is saying, we want this. They're the ones you want to focus on. They'll be the outperformers. That plus new coins, they're going to be the ones to focus on. It's the older shit that hasn't moved yet, that's still at its bear market lows or still just trying to break out. That's the kind of stuff where you're like, okay, nobody really wants this. But this is a winner. This is a leader. And I think once the floodgates open and you have all this new liquidity and new buyers available to get in through some of the bigger exchanges, I think that's when you really see the craziness. But in between now and then, there's going to be a few weeks. There'll be a period at some point of a few weeks where it corrects back, goes sideways. If you see a weekly support form again, like this one, where it spends a few weeks sideways, maybe it pulls back 30 or 40% into the weekly bands, whatever. That's your time to buy if you want to buy. But yeah, otherwise, I've seen many of these blow off top acceleration type phases. The last part's the craziest. Any pullback here can get, you can just wake up and it's up again, $7. And then the last week on the blow off top is always this massive week, which literally could go to 10 or 8 or 12. It's just the last part is the wildest. So that's why I certainly wouldn't sell here, because I'm holding from lower. It doesn't mean it will be. This could be it, but I've seen these before, and sometimes, quite often, you can see these biggest moves at the end. So we'll see. We'll see. It's all looking good for me at the moment. And yeah, Coinbase listing, that's going to be the big one. I guess it's going to be Monday at this point. I don't know if they list them on the weekends that often. Maybe they go today, but probably it's going to be next week. And that'll be an interesting one to see how price reacts around that. So that's it. GM to AKT holders. Keep holding. I think we're all good.